And now joining us on the phone is Greg Palast, as we say, best-selling author of The Vulture's Picnic, international journalist. Thank you for joining us, Greg. We appreciate it.
Glad to be with you, Marlo.
Well, it's been like 2 years now. What have we learned about this disastrous explosion, and is there any precedent to what happened in the Gulf of Mexico?
Unfortunately, we've learned little, and what we haven't learned is from the precedent. And the precedent is that there was a blowout 2 years before the Deepwater Horizon blowout on a BP rig, and BP covered it up. If they had told us about the first blowout, it's really unlikely the second would have occurred. And I did an investigation, which is now up at, go to gregpalast.com or ecowatch.org and get the story of that investigation. Because we found out that in the Caspian Sea on the other side of the world, BP had a rig, it blew out, only they knew, their partners Chevron and Exxon knew, the Bush State Department knew, we knew that from WikiLeaks, and the police state, which runs the little dictatorship of Azerbaijan, knew, but we didn't know, our regulators didn't know, the oil workers didn't know. And so they continued to use the same money-saving, cost-cutting, cheap way of operating, which is very dangerous and risky, in the Gulf that they used in the Caspian Sea when it went disastrously wrong there.
But, Greg, how was a safety defect so deadly allowed to happen again?
Money and cover-up. We had this is one of the problems we've had with BP. I've investigated them for many years. Even before as a journalist, I was an investigator. Even though the name Exxon was on the ship, in the Exxon Valdez, BP was in charge of preventing and containing an oil spill from a tanker. And they messed that up in the Prince William Sound in Alaska 21 years ago. Little was learned there. What they did learn, what BP seemed to learn, is that if they cover up their participation and their wrongdoing, they can continue with their, bottom line first methods, even if it risks lives. That's and that's a very sad story, but that's what happened.
All right, now we're going to be doing a report a little bit later on the actual environmental impact, but let's ask about the legal for a second. Are there laws now in place to stop this kind of cover-up?
Well, we thought that there were laws in place to stop it before it happened. That is, when in the EcoWatch story, if you go to gregpalast.com, you can also click on our video. You'll see some of it on Democracy Now! Monday. What you will find is that Bobby Kennedy, law professor, says we have laws against concealing these types of things. You can't just have a very dangerous event and keep it to yourself, keep it a secret, when the knowledge can prevent another accident. In fact, BP filed a report with the U.S. Securities Exchange Commission in which they totally misled the SEC about what had happened. They were saying that in the Caspian Sea there was some type of natural gas leak. Mother Nature was to blame. They had some gas leak, and they did a precautionary evacuation of a drilling rig. No one took that very seriously, because what they covered up was, in fact, it was a blowout identical to the Deepwater. That is, the cheap, quick dry cement that they use. They save money by speeding up the drying of cement by sticking nitrogen in it. It turns it into like a milkshake consistency, makes it easy for it to pour, dries very quickly, except like any milkshake, it gets bubbles, and all this high pressure gas can break through, blow out the cement through the top of the rig, and then the rig fills up with methane, heavy and highly explosive gas, and we saw what the explosion of methane looks like in the Deepwater Horizon.
Absolutely. Well, let me ask you another question here, Greg. It's a political year. What specifically is big oil going to be focusing on in 2012?
Well, that's one of the problems. I mean, even the Obama administration seems to be afraid of the new and renewed chance of drill, baby, drill, because Obama has opened up the Arctic Sea, the Beaufort Sea, for drilling, which is extraordinary. We're back to the same level of drilling in the Gulf we had before. And there's, of course, a drumbeat to bring in the XL pipeline down to Houston. The problem is that the American political discussion has gone completely bonkers, which is we can drill in the Arctic Sea, we can drill in the Gulf, and, in the filthiest, cheapest, quickest, thoughtless way we can imagine. But that won't change the price of gasoline at the pump. The price of oil is set by a worldwide cartel called OPEC, and oil companies and big state industries. Russia's the big producer. And you're not going, you can, the amount of oil that we pull out of the Gulf, if we stopped it tomorrow or tripled it tomorrow, would have basically no effect on the world price of oil.
Right. One more question. What can the average Joe and Jane do to help our environment?
Okay. Remember that every barrel you burn is going to chase away a whale now in the Arctic. It's no joke, actually. And what we need to do is become politically active, because oil is a political issue as it's become this election year. I'm not telling you who to vote for. I am telling you not to buy the baloney. Go to ecowatch.org. There will also be a petition where we're demanding that the government do an investigation of the prior blowout, which Bobby Kennedy has put together. And, watch gregpalast.com for further updates on the BP investigation. If we don't hold these guys accountable, there's not much we can do personally. Because we can recycle our cans all we want, and if they have another blowout, the destruction is just, we saw what the destruction was, and no matter, it's still very, 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 it's very serious even today.
Absolutely.
Years later.
Well, Greg Palast, thank you for joining us. We appreciate your time today.
Thank you very much.
We've been talking with Greg Palast, investigative journalist and author of The Vulture's Picnic, expert, of course, on all things oil and gas related and energy related.